Lamb. Hey there. What you chewing? Making some wool? Keep growing that hair. That looks tasty. Are you here for the Hobbit tour too? Alright, see you later.
Question, does anybody know who the tallest actor was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Give you a hint, it wasn't Gandalf. Any idea? Okay, so the actor who played Gimli the dwarf is about 2 meters tall. So not quite what you expect when you play a dwarf in the film. Now, Hobbiton in the books is hundreds of years old. Now, as you know, these are only a few years old, so to make them look aged, if you have a look around at all the picket fences, especially the fence line down here, they look very aged. So what they did is they brushed the wood down with vinegar that stains the wood, and then they created the lichen. So the lichen is artificial, and it's made out of wood chips, paint and yogurt. So they mixed it all together, walked around the set, and literally just threw it on all the areas they wanted to look old. So if you're wanting an old fence at home, remember wood chips, paint and yogurt. So you're going to have just a couple more minutes here, you can get some photos. I'm happy to take some photos for you as well if you like. And then we're going to start making our way up this way. So once you got your photo, if you just want to start heading down to Mr. Proudfoot's garden just here. There with his hands on his hips, and that is Mr. Proudfoot. And this is his veggie garden and his house in behind here. And then they set off the fireworks and the kids come running out, and then he laughs and his wife kind of gives him that stern look. Hopefully you'll remember that scene. So this is his veggie patch. Now all the vegetables are real, they're all grown and maintained here by our greens team, and if you're ever fortunate to have a meal down at the Green Dragon, you might be eating some of the veggies from Mr. Proudfoot's garden. Now they were purposely overgrown during filming, so when the hobbits were busy and they're working away, it made them seem a lot shorter than they actually were. Can anybody spot something strange about the veggie garden? Something Mr. Proudfoot hasn't quite got right. You might have to come this way a little bit to see it, but I'll give you a hint, it has nothing to do with the plants. Any ideas at all? Okay, we all spot the scarecrow in the background, and we know that of course a scarecrow's job is to scare away birds, and then right there is a birdhouse, which is going to attract the birds. So there's no point having both a birdhouse and a scarecrow in the veggie garden. The poor birds are just going to get very confused. So that's something Mr. Proudfoot didn't quite get right. So we're going to make our way up this way again, where they set off the fireworks and come out in the dell. So the dell does feature very shortly in the Hobbit film. So if you want to follow me up this way.
I walked through town, did some shopping, and yeah, and some souvenir shops. Just not much. And yet I will stay any longer in Rotorua. Oh yeah? Yeah, so my boss is helping the day after tomorrow. So I'm going to the lake and
as I said, all the vegetables and things here are real, so they're all grown and maintained here. Apart from one thing, there's one thing in the nature that is completely fake. Does anybody know what it is? Or can anyone see it? Anybody? Tree.
Tree up there.
Which tree? Okay, so bag end up there with the green door directly behind is an oak tree. That tree is 100% artificial. So it's all made out of silicone and steel.
That one?
That one, yeah.
That really bright green one.
Yeah.
So we'll have a closer look at that later on when we
Now
come
that-
back in.
Now that she points it out, it's kind of obvious.
It's so green.
Orchard. So these are all apple trees. Now in the book, Tolkien makes reference to plum trees. Say something like the children stood underneath the plum trees and picked the fruit off the branches. So Peter Jackson, being the perfectionist he is, he plucked off all the apples and their leaves and wired on artificial plums to these trees, just in case they were to get in the film and that one person complained about it and said that in fact they are plum trees, not apple trees. So as you head around the set today, you'll notice what a perfectionist Peter Jackson is. Now also another really important thing was standing here and turning 360 degrees around, you could see no man-made objects in sight. So there were no power lines, no main roads, no houses. It was perfect. They didn't have to edit out anything. Apart from up on the hillside over there, so I'll point it out later if you can't see it, but there is a hay barn on top of a hill. So they actually painted that brown and covered it in branches and leaves and disguised it as a tree in the film. So when you go home tonight and watch the film, you'll be able to point it out to everyone back home. Now one thing Peter Jackson really wanted was for nobody to know anything about the films until the day they came out in the cinema. So one thing he did to stop that is he made this whole area a no-fly zone. So anybody that flew over top would be tracked down and someone would be waiting for them when they landed, and that pilot would then lose his license, never allowed to fly in New Zealand again. So very, very strict rules with that, and it did happen to a couple of men. So once you're ready guys, just if you want to grab your photo and follow up this way, we're going to head along to Bag End. A little bit, and you get a look into Bag End. You remember the scene with Gandalf and Bilbo and they're standing outside the green door, smoking their pipes, all the fancy ships and stuff come out and they're looking out at the beautiful sunset. Can anybody tell me something wrong with that scene? Yeah, so in New Zealand the sunset's out this side. Does anyone know how they may have fixed that? Yeah, so they got up nice and early in the morning and stood and watched the sunrise. So when you go home again tonight and watch the films again, you'll be able to tell everybody back home that in fact it is a sunrise, not a sunset. Now in the Hobbit film, the young Bilbo Baggins, he comes wandering down the steps here, sits down on the step, and he smokes his pipe, the smoke ring goes out, the unexpected journey pops up, and right where you're standing now is where he then meets Gandalf for the very first time. So quite an important place. Now, you may be wondering how they managed to make the hobbits look so small in comparison to ones like Gandalf. So one of the ways was the fence lines and all the plots around here, they would have two different sizes. So when Gandalf was on scene, they'd put in smaller ones to make him look bigger, and vice versa with the hobbits. So that was also the case for the inside of Bilbo's house. So they actually filmed them in separate size interiors and then put it together to look like one film. So when Gandalf hit his head on the door frame in the Fellowship of the Ring, and that was on complete accident. So they thought it was so great that they were going to leave it in the film. Now another thing, when Gandalf and Frodo are coming in on the horse and cart, they look like they're sitting right next to each other, but in fact they'd actually sat Frodo a couple of metres back and got the camera at the right angle so it looked like they were sitting next to each other, but just that Frodo was a whole lot smaller.
Yeah. Spanish couple.